Hi everyone, Kathy here. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out if everything's connected right, and I hope it is. I hope you can see me. My tech support, AKA my sixth son, is supposed to come and give me the thumbs up in a minute, so we'll see if he does or not. Okay, got nervous about my mic for a second, but I first would like to just thank Carrie for letting me come in this group and talk with you guys about traditional versus self-publishing. So this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart as a book coach. So I will go ahead and just get started here. We'll jump right in. First, I want to tell you about how I got interested in self-publishing and publishing. My story is kind of diverse. So, gosh, it was 15 or more years ago now. I was an engineer, and during my lunch breaks, I would write because I loved writing, and the engineering didn't hit that creative part of my brain. It hit other creative parts, but not that one. So eventually I had a manuscript, and I sent it off to the publisher. It was a publisher who accepted direct manuscripts, and I got partway through the publishing process, and ultimately was rejected. But what happened in the meantime is I ended up with food poisoning, so my whole writing path got put on hold. My brain processes information differently than it used to. You notice that brief pause. I swear it's like my brain flips off for a few seconds. That's what happened then. So anyway, my brain was processing information different, and I just kind of moved on to different areas of my life, started having kids. We relocated 5 times. Fast forward, I think I said 15 years. I have lost track of the exact year count. And here we are in Michigan now. And once we moved here, I decided that I was going to do something a little bit I don't want to say more permanent, but something that was transferable if we moved again, that I could relocate. Portable is the word I'm looking for. So I wanted to do something portable. And as part of this, I decided to get back into book writing because I love it. It was actually a political statement that spurred me on. And I wrote, it's okay, my tech help just came. So I wrote a fiction novel, and my whole goal was really to work on some social justice issues. And while that did happen, I did work on some social justice issues. My career ended up going in a different direction. I probably will get back to the social justice issues at some point, but I found that I was more effective in nonfiction writing. Anyway, I was at this conference, and this is where this is kind of, several things happened, I guess, to spur me helping people. But one of the things that happened at this conference I was at, where they were talking about self-publishing, they were selling packages to help people through the process. And they were grand packages. The top one was $25,000. So yes, $25,000. And we were in line for something, and the lady behind me was talking about how she invested in it, and she was so excited. And I'm excited for her. She'd been trying for a while to write, but I just thought, boy, that is a lot of money to invest, and there has to be a better way to do this. And sure enough, I self-published my book, not for $25,000. So there are definitely investments when you self-publish, and she was self-publishing. Part of what she got was marketing. So there are definitely investments, but I thought people need to understand what's out there, and they need to go into self-publishing with the right information and knowledge so that they don't get ripped off. So one of the things I love to do is talk about the different types of self-publishing and educate people on what their options are, so that they don't waste the $25,000. So hopefully that wasn't a financial hardship for her, because for a lot of people, $25,000 is just a drop in the bucket, and they have this big dream, and they do it. It's kind of like those people who rent an island for a week. I don't know if you get that from HGTV, the vacation island rentals that people do for a week. $25,000 is not hard to do, and you don't even always get your own island for that price. Sometimes it's a resort with other people. So my point is that you need to do what's best for you and what fits in best for your finances and your schedule. So with that said, we will go into kind of your options. There are 3 options when you go to publish. Really more than 3. It depends how you categorize them. But it's important to understand your goals, what you want to accomplish with your book when you look at these right answers. So the 3 options are traditional, self, and then what I call contract publishing, which is hiring someone to publish it for you. So we're going to talk about each of those 3 options. But let's get back to that goal part, because that's so important, and that's a huge step that so many people skip over. In fact, I think that the upfront stages of your book and your planning are some of the most important. So I want to show you a book that I have that one of my clients wrote. And this one is called Lemon Parade, A Year of Faith and Fitness by Tammy Rummel. Very outstanding book. She, her goal was one main thing when she came to write her book. It was to have her book sent out as her Christmas card. She had told a story, or she had taken a year off, and she wanted to tell her story and share her learnings and experience with people and really help others out in their life in this knowledge that she had gathered over this year. And part of it is how to take little sabbaticals in small moments of your life. So there's a lot of good things to learn here. It was just a message she felt she had to share with the world. So she came to me and wanted to self-publish it. So we worked on that together. Now, she knew right out front that she didn't want to traditionally publish because it was to send out as her Christmas card. So first of all, she wanted it done in a short amount of time. And second of all, she didn't necessarily just want a small audience. She had a very specific audience in mind that she wanted it for. So it was the right thing for her to self-publish for sure. So let's talk about traditional publishing and some examples of why you might want to traditional publish instead of self-publish. So when you go through traditional publishing, each publisher will have their differences, but the majority of publishers like to see a book proposal first. And I know that Carrie's done a lot of work sharing hers, her proposal, her research, everything that she did for her book. So that's quite common. As far as who chooses traditional publishing, so historically, traditionally published books were considered to be more prestigious. And that still is the case in some literary circles. But in the business book arena, I would say that it is not as big of a factor. I have never had anyone ask me when I give my professional credentials ask me who the publisher was. And they're all self-published. I mean, I have that written everywhere that they're self-published. It's not that I'm hiding anything. I think it's just not important to people. As long as you have a quality book and you do the right things, it doesn't matter to them. The other thing is that with traditionally published, it's likely going to be a process of a matter of years. So if you have a book that you want to get out there faster and you don't want to wait years for it to get out there, then you're going to want to go the self-publishing route. The other thing, let me see. I will say, though, with traditionally published, that if it's your dream, then go for it. I don't want to squash anyone's dreams. And I think that there is a time and place for people to do traditionally published books. So a lot of people will even set in their mind, okay, I'm going to talk to 40 agents. And if I don't get an agent after 40 people, then I'm going to go self-publishing. And I think that's a great way to do it if you want to traditionally publish. And that gives you a feel for what it's like. And you know what? If you do 40 and then decide, I still want to do traditionally publishing, go ahead and try another 40. So there are so many famous authors out there that you've heard of that have had to do this, that have gone through dozens and dozens of agents before they hit someone. Tim Ferriss in nonfiction, I think of. I know there's other nonfiction examples. They're not on the top of my head, but J.K. Rowling, John Grisham, all these people were turned down by multiple agents. In fact, one of the national writing conferences I went to, Ted Decker, who's a Christian author, he does both fiction and nonfiction. There was an author, he was the keynote speaker, but there was an agent there who was talking about how even agents make mistakes in selecting. The agents are going to look at what they think they can sell in the market because they work on commission. Of course, they need to make money, just like you and I need to make money to live off of. But anyway, he was talking about the horrible mistake of turning Ted Dekker down early in his career because they just don't always know either. So just because you don't get selected by an agent doesn't mean that you have an amazing book. And I know Carrie has talked quite a bit about platform and platform size, which is the size of your audience. So at this particular conference, I think it was that conference, they said that they're really looking for people right now who have an audience of 30,000 or more. That is what makes them more of a guaranteed they'll look at your book. The audiences smaller than that are still considered small. So I don't know about you, but I certainly don't have an audience of 30,000. And my guess is that probably nobody in this group does, just because that is a huge, huge audience. I just read today someone with $1 million business just hit their 50,000 mark for followers. Okay, so going back to that, the other thing with traditional, it is difficult to get your foot in the door. And we just talked a little bit about that. So one of the statistics I have is that 90% of manuscripts that are sent out are rejected by the agents. And even after an agent selects your manuscript, it's not guaranteed that it will get published. So they still have to sell it to the publisher. That's all, the book business, it's a business, right? Unless you self-publish. But even then, it's kind of a business if you want to make money from it. So it's a business. They have to use their business mindset. It's nothing personal. And in terms of agents, they get paid on a commission basis. Now, there are some agents who have started to charge fees to read your manuscript and give you feedback. So that's something that's up to you. But you will not have to pay them upfront to represent them unless it's, I would look seriously at that agent, investigate them seriously. By look seriously is what I mean. If they want to charge you a fee to represent, if they want to charge you a fee for them to represent you, because that's not the tradition. Not saying that things aren't changing, because the publishing world is quickly changing. But just investigate their successes they've had with people doing that, if that's the route you choose to go. Okay, so another thing about traditional publishing, just because you traditionally publish, and again, I do not want to squash anyone's dreams. So if you want to traditionally publish, I highly recommend going this way, trying it at least. But an agent, Don Mass, said that 50% of the books that are traditionally published actually fail in the marketplace. So just because your book gets picked by a traditional publisher does not mean that it's going to be a success or a huge success. In fact, at that same conference I was at, there was a New York Times bestseller who I attended one of their breakout workshops, and she was asked how to get to be a New York Times bestseller. And she said, I wish I knew, because she had the one and had not repeated it either. So now, of course, if your name's Oprah Winfrey, maybe if you're the pioneer lady, you're much more likely to get on the bestseller list. But again, we're not in this group, we're not at that point yet. The other thing to know with traditional publishers is a lot of reasons people like to use them before is because of all of the marketing support. So they're thinking they're going to get all these book tours, all this other great marketing. Well, that has really thinned out. And a lot of big name authors are actually doing a combination of traditional and self-publishing. So while you're a big name author, you're going to be more likely to get those marketing perks. It's just not what it used to be. So again, the very top reason to pick traditional publishing is because it is your dream and what you've always wanted. And I do highly recommend having that plan of saying that you're going to send it to so many agents, or you're going to attend this many conferences to pitch your book at, and then investigate the self-publishing route. On the other hand, if you know right away that you want to self-publish, which is what I did my second go around, I did not even consider sending my book to a traditional publisher. I just wanted to self-publish, so I did. When you self-publish, you are the general contractor. So think of it like building a house where you'd have to hire the electrician, the plumber, all of that. It's kind of like that, but in a book. So you need to hire your own editors, proofreaders, interior designers, cover designers, and make your own marketing plan. Now, a lot of that you can do yourself. There's so many templates and easy ways out there to do the interior design. The two things that always should be hired out for a quality book are, number one, the editing. That's hugely important. And number two, the cover design. Unless you are a graphic designer with experience in books, you are going to want to hire that out. It will just be such a better, more professional looking cover. Another advantage of self-publishing is it gives you complete control of the creative process. So if your editor wants to whack half the book, no, I would heavily look at what they want to take out. But if it's something that you feel is a dire necessity in your book, then keep it in. It's your choice. You don't have to accept other edits. Now, I think it would be a good idea to run it by an additional person if they say to cut out 50% of your book. But that's up to you. Sorry, I bumped the cord. The other thing is, self-publishing has changed now so that you don't have to print out thousands of books at once. You used to hear stories of people self-publishing where they had thousands of books in their garage. So print on demand is available now, and it is good quality. It's high quality printing. So this is if you use a company such as CreateSpace to have your book available on Amazon. People just go online and order it. You don't carry any inventory. If you want to, you can certainly carry inventory, but you don't have to. So you're not talking about boxes and boxes and thousands of dollars in investment. In fact, other than the editor and the cover designer, there is no financial investment when you choose a company like CreateSpace to print online. The third type is contract publishing. And so what I'm calling contract publishing, and there's no industry standard for this terminology, and different people call it different things. Some people call it hybrid, some people call it vanity. You'll find all different terms. But essentially what it means is you pay somebody to do the whole publishing process for you. And this is where you will invest the thousands up front, in addition to a book coach if you hire somebody to help you write it. And so what they do is they take care of all of the formatting, coordinating of the editors, and the covers for you. So I've had people do this who've been very pleased with it. And I've had some people who had mixed feelings about it. The shocks that I've heard from people are the amount of marketing that's involved afterwards. They kind of feel like if they buy this, that their book will automatically sell, which is not the case ever. If you heard, even traditional publishers have books that fail. So, and also one of my friends who did it, she said she felt a little pressured to choose the cover, and the cover wasn't quite what she wanted, where she felt if she had done it more on her own, she could have gone back and forth and gotten a little bit more of what she wanted out of the cover. In all, though, I will say that the people are pleased. In fact, I have never, ever heard of a person who was upset or regretted that they wrote and published a book. It's like such a huge, amazing feeling. The people are just so happy, so happy when they do it. Okay, so I know one of the things that Carrie had asked about for me to talk about was ebooks specifically. So ebooks are another general thing that don't have a technical terminology. So different people think of different things when it different people think of different things when it comes to ebooks. So ebook can really be as simple as a PDF download. In fact, I just participated in one of those for a friend who was doing it as a lead magnet. So she got together like 20 entrepreneurs, and we all wrote a couple of paragraphs on 2 specific questions she answered. And then it was compiled into a PDF, and it's just a simple PDF download. And to me, Um, as a book snob, I don't consider that a book. I consider that more like a PDF download. And I don't know why I have that mindset, but that's my mindset. But that is definitely doable. And that's something that you can do completely on your own without really any technology, because you can just do it as an 8.5 by 11 in Microsoft Word or Pages, save it as a PDF and upload it. So there's no real standards for that. The other type of ebook are the ones that are available like via Kindle, etc. There's tons of platforms out there. The last I checked, Amazon had over 80% of ebook sales, though. So I always refer to Kindle as my ebooks. If you're going to get it out to one place, I think getting it just to Kindle is enough, actually, because I think you'll hit all of the market. I don't know that there's people. So Barnes & Noble had 5% at the last statistics I looked at. And so I think these were possibly from third quarter of 2016, but I can't imagine they've changed that much because I haven't seen Nook make a big jump in the market. But anyway, Kindles are what I consider ebooks, or things that you can download on a tablet or an e-reader. So there's definitely other platforms and formats. And so my whole thing is, I think it's a waste of time for anybody to just make a Kindle book and not also turn it into a paperback. Because the amount of time that it takes to create a Kindle version and a paperback version is only a couple of hours difference. And if you think about it, it's so much nicer to hold a paperback in your hand. It's a legacy for your family, especially. Technology is going to change, and I don't know how all these books are going to get converted, if they will. In fact, I've read that. I'm getting in a tangent, but it's a whole concern with a lot of the electronic data we have, that it's going to be lost to future generations because, well, even look at like 8mm films, those that aren't converted. It's harder and harder to get the technology out for those, with the exception of vinyl records, which are making a comeback now. So I definitely think that if you're going to go through the effort of writing a book, you should do both an ebook and a paperback. Now, if you are dead set on getting a hardcover book, then you can definitely do that with self-publishing. There's people out there, companies out there who will definitely print your hardcover book for you. And it's not as expensive as you might think. So one company I know who does it is sort of local to me. Let me see. I don't have their little booklet here. So one company I know who does this, who works with self-publishers, is Thompson Shore. They're in Dexter, Michigan, and they're essentially a contract company who you pay. Their prices are a bit higher if you're looking for just a few copies. So they're ones that you're going to want to look at a larger run, and they're really good about giving you the pricing if you have it. I've met with them in person. I do want to print a next book with them. I have a book that I'm just starting now, and I'm going to have to look at the pricing when the book comes out. But the next one that I want to have is a substantial volume, and I'm even talking like maybe a couple hundred. To use as a handout somewhere. I am going to test out their hardcover process. But I do know authors who have used them. In fact, even though they're right down the road, I learned about them from a family friend who lives in Las Vegas. I'm in Michigan. He's a multiple time self-published author, and then he uses them, and he's been pleased with them. So I think I went over a little bit about everything with self-publishing, traditional publishing, all of that. And I don't know that I don't think I am set up to see the comments. So if there were any questions, I'll just go ahead and answer them afterwards. I'm a big fan of self-publishing. If you want to get your book out there fast, you can have a high quality book. You can sell it. You can use it for your business. I think you really just need to look at your strategy and what you want your book for. And I think especially if you're writing your story to share with your family, which I think is just so fabulous, I think self-publishing is definitely the way to go for that. In fact, I think memoirs are very hard to sell to traditional publishers. Memoirs specifically, without an audience, I can't even think of one that's out there of a person who's not already famous. So, thank you for joining me today, and leave any questions that you might have. Have a great weekend.